Welcome to Elevated Wisdom, where we transcend and go beyond the subconscious. Welcome to Elevated Wisdom, where we transcend and go beyond the subconscious.
All right. We live, baby. What's going on, everybody? Appreciate y'all being here. Mm. Uh, well, um, personally, having gone or experienced having an absentee father and then becoming an absentee father, what it meant is just not having that male role model, the ideal male role model, in present on a daily day basis to help me maneuver this world or maneuver the world that we were born into. And that may, includes a lot of different things, not just being present, like playing catch or, you know, showing you how to shave or things like that, but just being there to help you understand what it means to go through physically the things you go through as a man, the things that you think about as a man, the things you feel, experience, the whole nine, and everything else it's in between that, So for me, it is a multiple of things that an absentee father is or could be. But overall, I think it did hit 2 points, the major points, which is physical and emotional, not being available through a child's developmental process. What about you? Ooh, static. Let me see. Hold on. No worries. How about now? Is that better? Yeah, yeah. Nah, it's a good. Hmm. Hmm. That is tough and something that I haven't wanted to honestly face for a long time, but once I did, um, I don't know what it might be. It might be your speakers, brother. I don't know. Yeah. Um, I turned down. I don't know what else it could be though. But anywho, so the for me, once I was able to face it, it was easier to move past it. And so, how did I become one? I first I wasn't ready to become a father. Right, I wasn't mentally, emotionally, physically, financially at all prepared. I didn't understand what it took to have that because of my experiences. All I knew is I needed to have that to be a father to a family, things in that nature to make me whole, and so I was that was my ultimate goal. And once I obtained that, I was blindsided, to say the least, about the responsibilities that came with it, the burdens that came with it, the struggles, the everything that makes a life, especially a family. And I thought I was doing my best, but I allowed all my experiences to overtake me, and I allowed to make my basically I made myself believe that I needed substances to deal with my issues, right? And it started with drinking because I was in the military. That was a quick escape every time. You go through a whole rack of shit for a X amount of time. You come back and you drink to try to bury it or try to forget it, and things just escalated from there. And once my injuries became too severe, my mental went down south. And so through all this process, he's growing up, my son, and it was my first aha moment. I was in the hospital because I had internal bleeding that was, I read my esophagus and it was causing internal bleeding. And so I was laying in the hospital bed, with my baby, and he was pulling the tube that was going through my nose down to my stomach to pump out all the blood, and that was my first aha moment too. That the doctor's like, man, you're a young person, but inside the damage that you're causing is, it looks like you're 45 years older than where you are now. And I was in my 20s, and it was like, man, so with that, I can see where the distancing became at an early age for him and I, and for his mother and I as well. And so once that relationship ended, the space between us became even bigger, because of the issues between his mother and I, were severe. And on top of that, I had my own personal issues. It became even harder for us to see each other and spend time with each other. And towards the end, we were spending maybe, I would say, at least every other weekend, so twice a month, I would spend a weekend with him. And I was barely holding on. I was barely holding on, and I was holding on to this idea of, well, if I'm just the Disneyland dad, if I'm just like all the time having a good time and no worries and this and that, everything was great. But that wasn't working out for me internally, and I was breaking apart, and I had to take a very strong decision for myself to say, you know, do I need to do I need to be here to be a father? Do I need to be physically here because I need to go somewhere to heal before I can physically show him a good example, right? And so with that, I had to make the hard choice of keeping a physical distance, yet um, learning how to maintain an emotional connection with him through the distance. Going through the hospitals and incarcerations, and all these other things that took for me to learn how to become a healthier me. It definitely drew a distance between us, but without realizing, that distance only made our emotional connection stronger. And I didn't realize that until recently. I really thought that, oh, I became this, just the just that guy, that dad that once in a while he saw. Yeah, exactly, and so um it was it was a difficult pill to swallow, but at the end of the day, I'm very proud of myself for choosing me, so I can, if there's anything I would hope that he learns from my life, is that part right there. How hard it took for me to choose me when I have such beautiful people around me, including himself, because he is my life, bro. I know you know that. And so to have to say, sorry, I have to choose me. I don't know for how long, but I have to do it, and I will figure it out. To make it keep a connection with you, and mm. What about yourself?
Happiness through an idea of what you believe would give you fulfillment and make you believe you're whole and now you can function a certain way. Obviously, with all those thoughts going through, how can I choose the right person when I don't even know who I am? I don't even know how to love myself properly. So how am I really taking a good hard look at the person that I'm interacting with to even come and create something or someone, a human being, to this world. So clearly, if you throw all that in, I didn't choose the right person. I wasn't mature at the time. I wasn't ready for it. I do it anyway. I get the wrong person. I do not know how to establish boundaries. There was some codependency, obviously, at different phases. And again, now I'm in a situation with someone that we're just not the ideologies or beliefs or how a relationship or marriage, how things should work. Just it didn't match. There was also a cultural difference. And so now I'm stuck trying to be someone to please her. And in turn, it's killing me on the inside. So ultimately, I
F1IW
became one
stream.
through divorce. Um, and that it just sucks because the kids don't ask for things like that to happen. And you would think, two grown adults would be able to kind of look at the bigger picture and see what may or may not be best. And that's rarely the case. So those are my thoughts on that. It's just kind of how it went down. But the biggest part of the whole thing for me was not staying true to me and not being honest and realizing and being mature to say, I'm not ready for this. This is what I'm looking for in a person. When I'm with the person, this is how I want the relationship to be for me, established in some form of boundaries, and which in turn is going to respect myself and respect that other person. So that's where it happened for myself. Now, we talked about how we became one. So now I'm gonna go into, how did it feel becoming an absentee father? And then I also want you to kind of describe, your thoughts, emotions, reactions in different phases, because, you've been divorced how long now?
Oh, definitely at least 15 years now, I think. Pretty sure over 15 years, yeah.
So, so that's something, so you can kind of break it down in 5 year increments if you want, or you just
Yeah.
go over. But it's just trying to give people a good understanding of like how you felt at different stages, because not everybody's going to be at the same point. So
Exactly. So definitely for me, how can I put this? It was a very plateau kind of experience for the most part because at the beginning, the reason I used a lot of the substances because I believed in all the negative thoughts about me as a person, right? And so that included being a father. Oh, I wasn't good enough. Oh, I, couldn't do this. I couldn't handle that, and I would, go away, and I would do this, and it was just always so negative. So for the longest part, for the most part, it was just such a negative self-talk and hearing others add on to that conversation really kept me in that negative aspect. But I think once through the times that I was able to be in the moment with him, those weekends that I did have with him, the highs were highs, the lows were lows, right? And man, we would just do. We still to this day we do live shit. We do we do extravagant things, and I really make it a thing to make it memorable, no matter what it is that we do, big or small. And with that, I've been able to handle things. Everything else when I stayed in that moment, it kind of fade away. I wasn't worried about money. I wasn't worried about XYZ. I was just there having a connection with somebody who loves me, right? Not needs XYZ, just loves me to the point where I remember when he was little, just climbing on me and having that attention. You know exactly what I'm talking about with the dad and dad and dad and dad. And at the time it was like, ugh. But um, at the same time, it was a such a blessing to have that unconditional love from another human being. And those highs for me, I felt like a superhero. Now the other parts where once he had to go home and whatnot, for me, the lows, one, basically covered all those every time until I was able to accept that there are some parts that is true and some parts that are completely false. And when I was able to handle that, emotionally, things became easier to handle and accept more than anything else. What about yourself?
Well, I definitely like how you said that unconditional love,
Mm,
because that's something I'm striving for myself.
mm,
Because I haven't had that, and I think it's amazing. Because really, I can't. There's a quote or a saying by many people that we the kids are really teaching us. We
mm,
should be paying attention and learning more from our kids and how they interact and how they love and what they do than us teaching them some of our old core beliefs and habits and ways that aren't relevant in today's time or didn't even make sense in the first place, to be honest. Because I know there's some things in my household that honestly now it's like, doesn't make sense.
yeah.
But let me get back to the question. I would say for me, the biggest, how I felt, I just felt like a complete failure.
Mm,
I felt like that, and obviously the relationship with the divorce. That I can't. The one thing you got to do is make someone happy. And you can't even do that. But now, now I know that's not my job. That's someone else's job to be happy, to be relevant, and to be focused. But I felt like a failure, man. And as I felt like that, my thoughts were of anxiety and fear that they're going to see me as a failure. They're going to see that I don't have everything together. I'm not no longer the superhero, the role model to put up to. And clearly, my thoughts also, what is she saying?
mm,
What action is she doing that's going to make them believe something or feel or act some type of way? Um, so obviously my thoughts were going everywhere. And you know so that was something. It was really led with a lot of fear and self-doubt. um my emotions, obviously I was very frustrated. I had jealousy because they were with her and not me. There was resentment. I felt betrayed. And there were times because the kids may complain, well, mommy does it this way or that way, that I would kind of lose my cool and then be feel like shit after that because it's not even their fault. They're just used to something. And again, it's just going back to having that maturity and realizing that this is a situation you created.
mm,
They didn't create it. And and having to give yourself grace, giving them grace, and always trying to put your best foot forward and smile and laugh. So that fear, jealousy, anger, resentment, hate is not projected onto them to where now they feel they're part of the problem when it has nothing to do with them.
mm,
So that was a big thing that I was trying to do. But a lot of times my inability to control would get me even more frustrated. And I probably had a shorter temper than I would like. So with that saying, my reactions, obviously I had outbursts, uh, constant negative thoughts, always in the past. So therefore, I was never present. I never sat down and did certain things. Every now and then, I was able to, but for the most part, I was constantly thinking, damn, why, how did I get myself into this? And I can't wait till I'm here because it'd be almost done. And I don't have to deal with this person. I don't have to do these things. And before I would know it, it'd be time for them to go. And it felt like I didn't do anything that I wanted to do with them. And the same thing, I would try and plan all these extravagant things and fancy stuff. And half the time, they didn't even care, to be honest.
Nah.
They they just wanted to spend time with me, whether it was watching a movie, shooting some basketball, playing video game. That's all they were looking for. Dad, look what I can do. They wanted me to celebrate them, and that's hard looking back because I don't think I did that enough. But it's okay, you know. I give myself grace. I understand. I did the best that I could in the situation and where I was at mentally. Because obviously, when you're not good, you can't be in the right space or place to help someone else. And that's what I'm focusing on now to try and do that. So yeah, that was the biggest thing for me, and those were my thoughts, man. Just just struggling, and with me saying struggling, we're gonna get into that next question. What were your struggles as a absent father? You know,
Mm.
you deal with.
Oh, I can. There's so many, there, but I think overall, emotionally struggling with believing I was doing right. Um, Struggling with believing in that my sacrifices were for a good cause. I struggled with the idea of what a good father is supposed to be, right? I had an idea of what I wanted out of a person that was a father, um, or a parent. Let's put it more into that, right? Because uh, as a child, like you said earlier, like, hey, celebrate me. Look what I can do. I'm learning everything that this world is putting onto me. I'm getting it right. I'm doing it right. Let's celebrate that. And I never had that growing up, and so now that I had somebody doing that or asking that from me, I found it aggravating, right? Or I found it like, oh,
And it's
let's move it.
challenging.
Exactly, and that was the struggle. That was the struggle overall, that of that part. And financially, not understanding this world, this of finance, I became I put placed myself in a very dangerous place financially, where it wasn't well for anybody. And I think that's what caused a lot of issues as well. I depended on the military. I hated my life in the military, but because they paid for everything, um, I was like, I have to do it. I felt like I had to do it. And so struggling with that as well, of what are the sacrifices that I have to do now because I'm a father, right? And realizing that now that I am responsible for another soul being, um, I kind of put myself second because for them, right? And that is the never-ending cycle of brokenness that I feel like as fathers that we've had, for, or just as parents. We have to sacrifice us for the children. And when in reality we can all heal. We, like you said, we should be learning from them as much as they're learning from us, right? And if now that I'm able to do that, I can see that we can all grow together. We can teach each other how to heal. We can teach each other how to love ourselves and each other in the most healthiest of ways. And that was a huge struggle for me because I was trying to tell him, how to be a good person, how to love himself and stuff, but I'm not doing none of that. So and that is the thing that I forgot, that he was children learn by what they see more than by what they hear or being told what to do. That's why they're you like, that's hot, that's fucking hot, and they're like, well, okay, I hear you, but I'm gonna touch it anyways, and then they fucking feel the heat, and it's like, ooh, okay, maybe you were right, maybe I
Bot
shouldn't have
Ricks,
done
your
that.
support is
Um,
appreciated. Follower and sub
There you
gifts were
think.
given out monthly. We are the
yeah,
vibe. Let's float food up.
and sometimes we don't learn, with that. So definitely is a interesting struggle to go through, and a variety of struggles. But those are some of mine. What about yourself?
Oh, man, it's it's a lot. Um, for me, guilt, regret was one of the big ones I struggle with because I always used to tell myself, this was I made this bed, I'm gonna lay in it and I'm gonna figure this out. You know, I'm gonna endure. I'm gonna make it work because they didn't ask uh, to not have their dad there, and I also knew if once I wasn't there, it it, it was gonna go how it went. Now, granted, looking at it as a whole, um, the kids are okay. There are certain things I don't agree with. There's some things like that, but overall, their health is good. They're going to school. I don't have any real complaints,
Mm.
and that's when I started realizing and letting some of that guilt and regret go because staying in that situation would have been 10 times worse. I mean, there was things that happened that it just was ridiculous, be honest. Like, and the fact that I even allowed certain things lets me know I didn't have any respect for myself or those boundaries that I was talking about. So, but I also know situations throughout our lives is going to happen to have us learn the lesson we somehow just can't get and make us wake up and mature to realize life can be easy, but it's only as easy as we make it, you
Mm.
know? So, the strained relationship, it, I, I, I don't know if it's just me in my head making it something more than what it is. I mean, there have been moments where certain things have been said and done, and they did act kind of funny or a certain way for a little bit of time. But now they're getting older. I mean, they're kind of seeing what's what and understanding how both parents operate, and they're
Mm.
starting to understand and see what's what and who's who. So there's no need to necessarily badmouth anybody or talk about this. Um, so I think that one was what I struggled with early was the strained relationship thing, but now I'm in that phase of more just accepting what it is and understanding difficulties connecting. Uh, I struggle with that. I think with everyone, um, it's hard for me to let people in at a certain thing. I guess being vulnerable and just start as butt naked. Here I am. This is it in the nutshell. Like I'm not. I'm trying to get there. I am working my way toward there. Um, and there's still that little boy in me for that fear of rejection. No, um, and that's something I got to continue to work on. The financial strain, be honest, it was all more in my head because in reality, if I have enough to pay my bills, I got a roof over my head, I'm eating, the kids are eating, we got clothes on our back. Uh, Life is good, right? Like Nacho Libre. Life is good. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the reality is it is. Like I have every need that needs to be met, and ultimately they're there with me at that time, and I'm getting the love that I typically wouldn't get. They're physically not there.
Mm.
So I think it was more in my head, just complaining like, oh, I would have had this much if I was still with them, and I had again, I've always been good with money, but I was more of like a Scrooge McDuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always counting like if I had this, I would have this much more than that. So I had to kind of go through a divorce with money too. Like I don't need you, and just throw it out and just kind of just reset my thinking and allow me to just be fluid. And as long as I have what I need to pay and it's there when I need it, I'm good. Like what's good if I have 1 million and I'm not doing anything with it and I'm not, there's no point for it. So for me, it's just understanding that my life is abundance. And whenever I need what I need and the amount that I'm looking for, it will always be there. And that's something, one of the, affirmations I've been lately doing, probably the last 35 days, things like that. So, and a big one for me, because I was one of those guys. What will people think, right?
Mm.
I was definitely one of them. You know, so that was another thing. Like, oh, they're gonna think I'm a dirt bag if I'm not doing this, or if I choose my own happiness and I decide like I'm gonna go and live at this country and not see my kids as often as I used to, blah blah blah, then I'm a piece of shit. Well, in reality, it's it's quite liberating actually to finally make a decision for you and yourself, and you start to realize that all that noise and everybody's else's opinions doesn't mean anything.
Mm.
The only time it matters is when you entertain it. If you never entertain it, then that's never part of your reality. It doesn't exist. It's just like the wind, it's blowing, but unless it's 30 to 50 miles an hour, you necessarily don't know reality that it's happening, but it is all the time. And the same thing with people's opinions, societal views. Unless it's 30 to and 50 then miles an hour, you come down, you start realizing like who comes up with all these societal views. I never said that. That's not my belief. I don't feel that way. And then you start realizing, man, that like half of the stuff and all the things we've been taught and told, it don't even resonate with you if you really sit back and think about half of the things that we've been growing up, we're told, taught this and that, and you start realizing, man, like when was the last time I've had a thought for myself? When was the last time I truly advocated for myself and stood up for what I believe and did not care what anybody thought? And when I say anybody, your parents, your family members, friends, co-workers, whoever's important to you. When's the last time? And I started realizing it was never, because I wanted to please everybody. I want to make everybody happy. And in the process of me trying to make everybody happy, I'm miserable, but in turn, they're all miserable too. And guess whose fault it is? Because everybody's miserable. Mine. At least that's how I took it. And then it just snowballed from there, and then it goes into the final phase for me, which was I got to a point where I would just isolate. 'Cause I was just tired of hearing like, is you, you're the problem. You're fucked up. This is what's going on. And it's like no matter where I came from, and when I mean coming from, like everything I ever tried to do would be in the best interest of that other person. And it would always somehow backfire. And you know, I started taking that. And at first, a lot of the negative comments, a lot of the situations, it didn't bother me. But over time, and when I mean time, years and different situations, and then it started at work and then it bled into other things. You slowly started to kind of believe the chatter, believe that noise. And I can't tell you when I accepted it, but at some point I did. And
Mm.
it just really snowballed from there. And yeah, I wanted a complete reset, man. I just was tired of putting all my effort thinking of everyone else. And at the end of the day, everybody's sleeping good. And I'm over here, miserable, insomnia, crying, don't want to be here, going through all the constant emotional roller coasters, wishing somebody was there for me. And in reality, there were people, but I would push them away because I wanted to isolate because I couldn't allow anybody in to because they'd probably tell me I messed up too. So that's something that I had to deal with, and I'm realizing now that all that noise, all that chatter was all in it. It was just an illusion. None of that was true, and and even if that person felt like it, like we always say, right? They're entitled to their opinion,
Indeed.
but it doesn't mean it's true.
Hmm.
You know, so you know that's those are my thoughts on that. And so I'm gonna get into one of the final questions. 'Cause I know we're getting down close to time, and it's more of a reflection question for you. Kind of go back, 20 plus years, and do you believe you would have made the same choices if you would have known who you are?
I think the bigger thing for me reflecting now is more of the acceptance. I've always had an idea of the variety that is me, right?
Yeah.
And my issue was the acceptance of those things. Now, where we are at in our lives now, I've been able to say I am some variations of what people have experienced with me. That is part of the totality that is me. I have told lies before. I have cheated in tests and in relationships, and I haven't been the perfect person all around. Doesn't mean that I am a bad person all around either, because I have been a great friend, a great, all these things. I still am. And so, with all these things, is the acceptance for me. If I could change anything, I don't like saying that because if I change, if I would go back and change anything, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. But one thing that I wished I would have been more aware of what acceptance does for the soul, right? It was almost like I used to hear that in a different way, where it was like belief, right? In spirituality, if you believe in something, whether you have evidence or not, um, there is no separation. There is no doubt, and that came with acceptance as well for me. To It's like I needed the acceptance, like you were saying, to come from everywhere else, and I wasn't getting that anywhere, because even when I was being accepted by other people, I wasn't giving the real version of who I was, right? And so with that, um, for me, tying it into a fatherhood, I how do you teach somebody how to be when you're yourself feeling completely lost and not being able to accept most of the things that you go through? And that was the part where I feel like if I just had a little more acceptance in my life, things would have been a little bit different in a good way. But overall, I am honored. I am happy because now we choose happiness. Happiness is a choice. I am happy that I've gone through what I've gone through, how I've gone through it, and more importantly, that what will happen is gonna be there and it's gonna come into fruition as I maintain in the present, truly maintain myself in the present. All those other struggles that we've been speaking about tonight just fall off. They have absolutely no weight, no meaning, no none, no. There's no space for that in the present moment, each and every day. Just like for example, last night, I was able to. I was feeling sick, physically sick, ill. Yet my son wanted to play some video games, and I was pushed myself to get on and play some video games with him. And by the end of the little hour that we played, because I was in the moment, having a good time with him, the physical ailments had no place in my conscience at that time. And it wasn't until we finished and I went to lay back down that I've started feeling those feelings again. And it's like, oh God, I need to this and that and the third. So staying in the moment, being present with acceptance, that's what I reflect on now. Every time I think of the past or I revisit the past, because that's one thing I like to do, right? Would to go back to the old habits, I have to think of the past and live in the past. And so that's what helps me to cheat in meals and this and that and kind of, do those negative little jabs at myself. But um, that, that really, I don't know, that really hits different for me right now too as well. But what about you? How do you reflect on that?
Um, just being honest with myself. I think that's the biggest thing for me is just being honest with myself. And I think even if I would have chose different ways or avenues, I still would have learned similar lessons. It just would have been in a different manner.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think the situation may have changed with a particular person, but I would have still went through the lesson. Um, so for me, it was just being honest with myself, staying true to what I believe, and understanding how important I am. And that would be the biggest thing is just going back and being more selective, going back and really scrutinizing who I spend my time because my time is valuable. Really investing in myself, being more confident with decisions, uh, just taking time to understand me, and instead of running from the loneliness or running from those nights where it's just you, learning how to be my best friend and entertain myself, really enjoy my own company.
Mm.
And me being, I had siblings, I never had to do that. That's why for a lot of only child kids, that's probably going to be one of their superpowers, right? because they've had to at certain times learn how to do that, especially if they didn't have cousins and people their age. So I never really had to do that. So when I became an adult and I'm on my own, as I couldn't wait and I was so ready to be out the house, as soon as I have my own place, I'm looking for that noise for someone to be in the house. I don't need them to interact with me. I just need the TV on. Someone walking by, hey, what's this and that, you know. So that's what I was looking for, someone there, but not really there. And again, it's just going back and being mature and honest with yourself and understanding the severity of certain decisions. And I did not understand some of those decisions I took way too lightly. So for me, that was probably the biggest thing with just being honest with myself, understanding who I am, what I want, where I would like to go. And once I had those questions, I would be able to be selective with who I'm in a relationship, who I spend time with. And then obviously, if I'm able to do that, I'm able to establish boundaries, advocate for myself. So it just, they all kind of go together. So that would be my biggest thing. So for you, now going over these questions and talking about all this, how does it all tie into self awareness, acceptance, and still continues to allow you to be on that journey of self discovery?
Um, that's a loaded question, like all these other ones too. But I think now acceptance period, right? Just acceptance has given me a level of freedom that I can't place into words because it's such a variety of thing, right? Where I giving up material things, really not feeling the need or attachment to material things has allowed me to one move without anxiety. Oh, did I have this? Oh, is it gonna break? Oh, is it somebody's gonna steal it? Oh, you know what I mean? Like, and so that has really pushed a different level of freedom again. Um, the idea of lifestyles, of roles, being the parent role, being the breadwinner, being whatever, profession. And so, with that, not being attached to those ideals has given me the ability to do anything, everything. Write a book, start a
Yeah.
business, travel, be a father, be a lover. I can do it all because I'm not attached to one thing anymore. I'm not attached to that idea of I need this this crazy car or this crazy house because for whatever reason I don't I when I let those things go, it gave me the freedom to be anywhere and allow the earth to be my home. People, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from everywhere. Where do you live? Wherever I want.
I'm the
Exactly.
I am the
Indeed, and it's that like it didn't hit me like until I was in Germany when we were explaining to the homie, what is it that we do, and you're like, man, did you hear yourself? And I'm like, yeah, it hit me different. It really hit me different to know that the type of freedom that I live now. Saying that, the sacrifices that I've had to made to have that freedom are not easy. Separating yourself from what others think of you is not easy. Living a minimalistic life is not easy. Things that we have to break away from is not going to be easy, but it
the
brings something different. And that is what I needed. If I
Yeah,
want something different, I have to do different shit.
indeed. And people, this is the honest truth, and this is my opinion, but there's only one real prison you'll ever be in,
Mm,
and that is your mind. That is
indeed,
your own mind.
for sure.
And the sooner you can separate from that the ideologies, certain core beliefs, things that aren't even true, there's that liberation which will propel you to get to a point of that acceptance.
Mm.
And once we hit acceptance, then it's living without attachments. And that's when you're really on your way, in my opinion. Again.
Hell yeah.
So
And I agree. I think for what we're doing and how we're doing it, I used to have a fear, right? Oh, is money gonna get in the way? People gonna get in the way? When I just continue to focus on myself, there is nothing that can get in the way. And when I get around people like yourself that are really focusing on the same thing, that barrier becomes that much bigger, right? And I'm really appreciative of all of you guys out there that are living this type of lifestyle, that of health, wellness, self-love, unity, nature. When I get around all of you, I have a reborn belief in humanity. I really was losing that in my darkness. I really lost hope in humans because I've seen the horrible things that we're capable of. I've had to participate in some things, unfortunately, and that for me, it put of this idea that there is no more hope. Like we are this cancer and this and that, and where I'm at now, I see the energy that we are all vibing on. You know what I mean? And that for me has really, really, truly helped me out to liberate myself. And
talking about
now, yeah, bro. One thing, one thing that we continue to talk about is celebrating oneself first to
yeah,
have that energy to provide for others, right? And at the same time, the reciprocation of energy is so strong between you and I, my friend, that um, unstoppable energy, and that's what we continue to show and hopefully provide. Not hopefully, we are providing the world is this type of energy. And if you are looking for a similar minded group of people, you found it. You're here, and we're continuing to build a space where you can be you authentically,
mm,
and learn how to move in a most healthiest way possible to experience this life that we are blessed with, right? And in this world that has got so much potential, infinite possibilities at our fingertips. And when you surround people
every
that
day,
can, what I mean, hype you up, yeah, man, it's deep.
every day, infinite possibilities, man.
That's
And
it.
starts like you said, making that choice,
Yeah.
understanding that happiness is cultivated, not found. It's by practices, it's by meditation, it's by taking the time, having gratitude, not criticizing, not being judgmental. All those things will take you away from what things actually are.
Mm.
And if you just are born again every day and you look at things as if it is the first time, it's you can only have one word, which is amazing. That's it. You're just amazed at what you get to experience, what you get to do every day. And it starts in the mind.
Mm.
And as you realize that, your reality will change and those things you hated now become awesome. The things you despised are now enjoyable. And that's when you know there's been a shift in your mindset and your perception of what your reality was is now different to what it is.
Mm.
And that's what our talks are for. The posts, the content, everything we're doing is to create conversation, ideas, and stimulate the mind, and to let everyone know that it's possible. Even for you, it's possible to really enjoy life, think of things differently, and be happy to be living.
Mm.
Because I can tell you there were times I was not happy with living. I did not want to be here. Um, and I realized, you know, I had to deal with that darkness. I had to go in there and I had to figure out what it was and what was going on. But like you said earlier, I'm glad I did. I do have a great appreciation for myself, for the situations I've been in, and I continue to have gratitude and be mindful because I realized also a lot of my situations got worse or escalated because of my reaction.
Mm.
And that's why self awareness is important and understanding where you are, who you deal with, and what topic are we discussing. Because there are some people, no matter what we say, no matter what we're at, the energy will always be what it is. And it's a waste of time. So that certain people we just don't engage, in certain topics or things like that. So yeah, but that's the end for tonight's show. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope so far everybody had a great weekend. And again, welcome. Thank you for stopping by. This is Elevated Wisdom. Happiness is a choice. Do you have anything, DJ?
Uh, Happiness is your choice. Before we leave, what does that mean to you? What does it really mean to choose happiness? Because some people have asked that to me, and I've said a few things. But for you, what does it mean to choose happiness?
So, everything in life is a choice. And we know what there's whatever choice you make, there's a reaction, right? A pros and a con. It's always whatever choice you make. Um, for me, happiness is a choice. Is every day I wake up, I have the mindset that my day will be great. That I'm gonna do even the stuff I don't want to do, wash dishes, run 3 miles, whatever it is that I'm not looking forward to. I'm still choosing to have a great day in a mindset regardless of what's happening. Because I can easily sit there in bed and say, man, fuck waking up. Excuse my language, but I don't want to wake up. Ah, man, I got this to do today. So if I'm already starting my day and I'm complaining about everything I have to do, clearly my day is going to go what way? So any other thing that happens on top of that with the frustration I already have, the negativity I'm already, it's just going to grow bigger, brew better, and eventually I'm going to want to blow up. I don't want to deal with people. And now I'm projecting all my anger and negativity on other people and saying this sucks because of them. I hate my life because of this, when in reality, I'm hating everything because of me. My choices. I'm choosing to be negative. I'm choosing to have a bad attitude. And that was something that helped me when I realized my attitude affected my perspective. That one hit me hard because I had a shitty attitude. So I realized I had to clean that up to have a better perspective. Now my perspective, I can look at my optimism. And if my glass is always full or half full and never empty, I'm just in better spirits. And again, happiness is a choice. Happiness is cultivated, not found. That
Mm.
means I have to continue to remind myself to be happy, to be in a state of mind, because things are going to get you frustrated. You will be irritated. Some days are always going to be harder, but that's where you take time to have that, gratitude for where you're at. That's where you take time to have a good laugh, live the three L's, lead with love, be compassionate, laugh, whether it's laughing at yourself or putting, I used to love Dave Chappelle, his old stuff. Put something on or sit with someone to laugh. Or take that energy, go learn something new at a gym, or maybe learn a new skill. Just something to get off of the thought of being negative and sitting with that emotion. Because that emotion is what's going to trigger the thought that's saying this is a bad day, right? That thought's going to hit that emotion and it's going to already have a playlist of all the things in your head why it's going to suck.
And
So
then
why
we
not?
actualize those thoughts.
Exactly. So change retune them thoughts. Put on a
Mm.
good song. Put on that Pharrell. I'm happy, whatever it is to get you in that mindset to know today is going to be a great day. And I know things are going to come at me, but I don't have to react this way.
Mm.
This person is talking, they're upset. It's nothing to do with me. They have the problem, not me. Really just being aware of everything, being, just assured of yourself that you know who you are, you're happy with what's going on, and everything in life is a choice. So
Mm.
when something really bad happens, you chose that situation. So now it's what? I have to be accountable for my actions and I have to be self aware. Why did I choose it?
Mm.
Oh, I wanted to do this. I was looking at the selfish aspect and it backfired. But instead of me saying it's me because I went at it negatively, I'm blaming this person because I didn't get what I wanted or they felt offended. Whatever the case may be. I mean, I'm rambling now, but
No, it's good.
yeah, I'm just trying to just give you an overview of like how important having a choice is. And since we have it, why not be in a state or put our best foot forward and
Mm.
continue to practice mindful things throughout the day to cultivate that mindset of happiness?
Exactly.
Because it's not just gonna happen. I mean, especially if you had a bad attitude like myself, or you were in a very depressive state of mind, very negative. It's gonna take time, and but it's very possible, and that's why we're here. That's why we're trying to be as vulnerable as we can.
Yeah, I
Uh,
appreciate you sharing that. I think something that I have and you have around your neck as well, these beads, right? And for me, I carry this with me all the time because I can easily indulge in other people's realities. People, bad traffic. I can get into that mode extremely easy without thinking about it. I can get into that mentality of road rage and this and that, or somebody complaining of whatever it is. I can easily get into that.
yeah,
Choosing happiness for whatever reason is one of the harder things to do, unless it's in a unhealthy manner, right? And at least in my experience and what I've had the privilege to experience. And so with these, for me, I'll end with this. These beads for me is each one changes per every time I'm in a different situation, but it is either a positive thought, a blessing, something that I'm grateful for, anything that is gonna put me in a good, happy mental state. And I'll go over and over, and I'll just keep saying them over and over. And each bead, that I touch, I'll say it again, and that helps me remember that I have a choice to live happy. That includes physically, mentally, and emotionally. All those three things, I have the choice of choosing well-being and happiness. So thank you so much for sharing that, Ahmad. I appreciate you so much and your time. People, thank you for being here. We were live on X, YouTube, and Kick. And Thank you. Thank you for your time. We will see you next, no, 2 weeks. And the next one's going to be another hot one. And we're going to continue to deliver some hot conversations for you to participate with. So, Ahmad, any last thoughts?
No, just thank everybody that's continued to support, and till next time.
Word up. Peace out, everybody. Laters.
Thank you for joining us, and have a good night. Lead with love, take time to laugh, and never stop learning. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night. Lead with love, take time to laugh, and never stop learning.